the agenda role setting of the media is very, very important. But what we have now is a more diversified media landscape. Beside the conventional or traditional media like radio, TV, and newspaper, we now have new media, particularly social media, with the citizens themselves using platforms such as Facebook, even TikTok, you understand, to communicate what they perceive in the society. I think it is a balance of both pro and pro-government media and anti, if I can use that word, government media. Meaning that in the last couples of months, oppositional parties have also increased the tempo of active or constructive engagement of the government each day. And the government too has also increased their own dissemination of information. You have the National Orientation Agency that thinks, I think the public, and this is explainer, and also you have in the Nigerian Television Authority and other publicly owned media dishing out information. But what I've seen, even despite the fact that there are plethorals of spokesperson for the government, the Ministry of Information and the Minister of Information too, they should be driving many of those conversations. But you have essay to the President on Strategy and Communication, all those ones are doing their own. But as a government, as a federal government, if the minister take charge so that you'll be able to have a structured information rather than a kind of let's said information. I don't want to use the word propaganda. You understand that government everywhere does. You understand? But what is good is that we are having the opposing views of everything. You understand? And Nigeria can form their own opinions based on the information available. And there can never be, for me, I think, let me align with what Thomas Jefferson said. It is better to have a government, it is better to have a media without a government than a government without a media. Medias have important role to play in society. If you don't get the information correct, you understand, it can create the negativity that will also impact negatively on whatever intervention you are trying to make. Meaning that government must be proactive in their information dissemination. Before you, rather than base it on effect-driven information dissemination, maybe before you even introduce your policies, try consulting ahead, try engaging ahead, try disseminating ahead 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, even before the start date, so that people are already well sensitized on what government is doing or what government should do. And the media, diverse media space is important, and the free expression of opinion is also key, because those are the key elements or some of the ingredients of democracy. And that's what makes democracy different from other government, other system of government, where that freeness to discuss issues is not there. You understand? Even in the most advanced of democracy, so to say, in US, one of the things that people are struggling with is that the space to allow everybody to ventilate their opinion must be respected and guaranteed at all times. And for me, they play an important role. Some of the things you also mentioned in eases in terms of inflation, those are all the contextualized nuances, perhaps that your respondent also see. I've given you instances when the administration started, some of the policies, the policy position it took, and the immediate impact of such policy pronouncement or position. Understand? People reacted to it. You understand? People are coupled with the fact that this is a government that is also coming from one of the most competitive, so to say, elections in a recent time, which it is expected. And people also thought that the government should pursue more of populist programs, but the government thought otherwise, that they needed to do what they are doing to ensure the intent is the first. These are my only two things, and it is good that the media landscape is expanding. It needs to continue to be expanded, but we must be mindful of misinformation and disinformation, because those kind of things also have serious negative impact on the continuous social cohesion of the society.
You talked about Nigerians hoping that the government would focus more on populist programs, but instead it went on reforms. Now, how do you think these reforms, one of them was, some of those reforms have actually contributed to hardship and living standards. We've seen that, and then there were programs that were created to cushion the impacts of these things. But then a separate poll asking about economic coping mechanisms for Nigerians found in January 2025 found that 82% of Nigerians are not even aware of any government program or initiative to assist citizens. How do those even out for you?
Yeah, I think it's I can say that it is possible, in the sense that many of the communication, it has macro level, which, you understand, it doesn't reach the grassroots level. Even though we have high publishing newsletter, we are in the contemporary time that make the literacy rate is even low. People don't want to read. We must look for a medium that can reach the people, and the government must also get closer to the people. There are instances where government is doing basic healthcare provision funds. You understand that the minister, I said, released a direct letter that 32 billion has been released to public primary healthcare across the country. Maybe there may be a channel, there may be a need for a need for a channel where some of those interventions at the level of receipts, let people know that this intervention comes through the government. I don't know whether you get the point. You may go to a primary health care, they may have a signage or a stand-up banner like you, but many people may not be literate, may not be able to connect that and what government is doing. You understand? These are some of those concerns. But besides that, what people have been used to is that anytime there is an occasional adjustment in price of the fuel, the price of the fuel, is that there is pushing, if there is a kind of programs in terms of by the government to pushing the effect of that removal of subsidy, for instance, in terms of maybe in the transport sector in particular, where you have Shopee kind of a vehicle or this thing. But most of the things that the government is doing is also a kind of transition period. If you are talking of CNG, majority of people are still using normal petrol this thing. It requires some level of orientation, sensitization, what you have said. They need to first get those information. But before it gets to the grassroots or the masses, it may have to be the agency of people to people, beyond the mass media. You understand? People in the market using the existing structure they know, the market groups, the age group, the youth group, the student groups, the farmer groups, and all those people in their functional clusters where they know, where they relate, and the information can be properly channeled. There are need for different categories of information platform, the print media, the electronic media, even the social media. But beyond that, this agency of town hall meetings, the agency of market groups, even at the health facility, the design of the primary health care from the beginning is to serve as the nucleus of socio-economic development of that community, where people can even gather in the evening to discuss their other matters besides the health-related matters. You understand? Those are the kind of agency that you can also use to ensure that those informations pass to the this. It may have cost implication. It may be very expensive. No doubt about that. It may also be difficult to coordinate, but we are sincere with also make sure the right information reach the people. I think they can properly communicate these information.
You mentioned design. That brings me to, I think, perhaps my last question for you this evening. You work in the governance space, or rather good governance space. Given that background, how do you think the policy design can be moved in Nigeria to ensure inclusivity, to ensure that vulnerable groups, youth, women, persons with disabilities are not left behind? The last thing.
I think we cannot emphasize this. The benefit of bottom-up policy making design. Number one, it enhances the legitimacy. You have also consult widely. You understand? Then it enhances the inclusivity, meaning that the participatory nature of that decision making will enable people to offer solutions for whatever identified programs you want to decide. But too much of top-down approach to policy making, we have seen what it has led us to. And the idea of even a federal state is to ensure that such kind of bottom-up decision making is internalized. If all the 774 local government, if they have a functional system, you'll be able to collate the inputs for different communities within their ward. Nigeria is broken, even they include the local government to electoral wards or political wards where people know each other, where they can gather and ensure issues are thoroughly discussed. Those are some of the things we take. The technocrats have their own role. The educationists have their own role. But the role that the people, the same market woman, for instance, will have more insights into their own problem than a bank executive who sits in one setting. You understand what? The thing that such kind of other expert brings is country experiences. And so yes, this is fine. This is the way you can challenge this, but you have done the needful by consult widely. Even the identification of people is through collective program identification, not somebody sitting down somewhere and say this is the problem, this is the solution.